All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm waiting to get on to Instagram. It's taking a little while, but give me a minute and my Instagram can start. Hello, guys. Good evening. We have breaking immigration news, and of course, I'm here to go over it with you and discuss it. So I'm not sure what's going on with Instagram, but okay, hang on. Let's get back on Instagram again. Uh, all right, I think live. Uh, Having a problem with Instagram here, so give me a minute. Discard. Okay, let's go back again. Live. All right. Guys, hello, how are you, everyone? Excellent. I'm live on Instagram. I'm live on TikTok. I'm live on YouTube and Facebook. And I want to say good evening to everyone. I hope you guys are doing well. And I'm here because we have more breaking news that I want to discuss with you guys. So get on. Let's get started. So for those who do not know me, my name is Ifeoma Odulami. I am an immigration attorney from the Odulami Law Firm here in New Jersey. Our law firm serves clients in all of the United States and abroad. If you wish for us to assist with your immigration matter, we primarily work on cases from in humanitarian, family, deportation, and family deportation, humanitarian immigration cases. So we can help you if you're looking to file for family members. We can help you with your T visa, your U visa, SJIS, and the likes. So if you need our assistance, please feel free to call us 973-993-1900. All right. Thank you guys for joining me. Say hello when you join in. It'll be nice to meet you guys online, of course. So thank you, Jasmine. Thank you, Brown. Thank you, Real Gentle Lion. Thank you guys for joining. So today I want to talk about the administration's new travel ban. Now, we know we've all been waiting for it. We've all been expecting the travel ban. And so finally it's here. So yesterday, Donald Trump signed a proclamation reinstating and expanding a travel ban that will take effect on June 9th, 2025, which I believe is next Monday. And so the policy really bars entry into the United States for 19 countries. So 12 of those countries have a full ban. And then the balance of those countries, which is, I think there's seven countries have a partial ban. So I just kind of read through it real quick and made my notes so I can go over it with you and tell you what it means to you and your family members so you understand what's going on. So from the beginning, I think what I noticed is that they really took their time with this proclamation. And I'm comparing it to the one of the first administration, which went to court several times. And finally, the Supreme Court in Trump versus, I think it was Hawaii, basically gave the president the authority to restrict people based on national security interests, national security. So I'm anticipating that this time around, even though we're sure that all of the, there's going to be legal action, there's going to be lawsuits on this matter. I think that they really worked around the prior decisions, the prior denials they got in the first administration. And basically, they created another travel ban that is not as broad as that one and not as constitutionally challenging as that one. So I think they crafted something that they hope will stand up in court when there's legal action. And like I said, we do expect there to be legal action. So let's talk about these countries and what each of these bans, what the ban means. So the fully banned countries, which are the countries that have a total suspension, they cannot come to the United States, would be Afghanistan, Myanmar, which is also Burma, There's Chad, there's Republic of the Congo, there's Equatorial Guinea, there's Eritrea, there's Haiti, there's Iran, there's Libya, there's Somalia, there's Sudan, and there's Yemen. So I'm going to go through all of this and then we'll go back and discuss what it means to, you know, my immigration family out there. And so the partially restricted countries are Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. So basically, the Trump administration is saying that they are really, the ban is due to, they're banning countries that have, they're banning countries over concerns about terrorism, visa overstays, inadequate vetting procedures, and countries that refuse to take back its removable nationals. So basically, what this is terrorism is an issue, and President Trump feels that these countries are countries that either encourage or breed terrorists, even though it's interesting to note that some of the countries where 9/11 came, the people that came from 9/11, none of them are listed here, well, except maybe Libya. And with regards to visa overstays, in the proclamation, they actually go country by country explaining why each country was banned or had a partial ban. And for the visa overstays, basically they have percentages of people that come here on a B1, B2, maybe on an F1, maybe on a J1, M1, and they overstay. So I guess that's a concern for them. So that's what that is about. And then the inadequate vetting procedures are, countries that cannot properly vet the identity of the people that are coming from there. So for the United States, according to the Trump administration, they are banning this people from those countries until they improve their vetting procedures. And of course, countries that are their nationals are being deported, but the countries refuse to accept them, such as Somalia. Those are, there's a ban against them. Now, like I said, the ban goes into effect June 9, 2025, even though I have to note that it's predominantly Muslim and African countries. So I guess in the administration's position, that's where all the terrorism is from, even though I got to tell you that all the terrorist activities, I don't remember that any of these countries that were fully banned were on it. But that's what it is. So now the good news is that if you already have a visa right now, you can use it. So the ban does not revoke visas that were issued prior to, you can use it until the effective date of the proclamation, which is June 9th, 2025. So if you have an immigrant visa or non-immigrant visa, you can still use it. And that's not a problem. So let's talk about before we get into that, the proclamation does say that within 90 days, the government will do an assessment to decide whether to end the travel bans with regards to certain country or modify it. And after that, every 6 months, they will go back and see if the countries have made changes that will satisfy the United States. So who are the people who are not included in this bans? People that you do not have to worry about this. So if you're a U.S. citizen filing for your child under the age of 21, and I'm talking about people who are outside the country. We're not talking about people within this country who are in the United States currently. We're talking about people outside the United States. So if you're a U.S. citizen and you're looking to file for your child or children under the age of 21, or your spouse, or your parents, right? And they are abroad, you can still file for them regardless of the ban. So immediate relatives are not impacted by this ban. What that means is that even if you're from a total ban country such as Eritrea or Iran or Haiti, that does not matter. The application will continue because immediate relative petitions are exempted. So immediate relative petition are exempt. I'm laughing at somebody says their mind caught. So Now, also, if you're a green card holder and you're outside the United States, of course, you can come back. You're not, the ban does not apply to you. If you're a dual national, which means you have two passports, and one of your passports is on the full ban or on the partially restricted ban, just travel with the other passport that is not, that has no restriction or is not a part of the ban. Okay, so if you're a dual national, you can travel on a passport from your non-restricted country. So that's good, right? Now, this total ban or partial ban does not apply to diplomats and officials of international organizations. It does not apply to athletes and their teams participating in major international sporting events such as football, maybe people who are participating in the Olympics. It does not apply to them. It also does not apply to Afghans who assisted the United States forces and hold special immigrant visas. It does not apply to them. So it's good to know that everyone, this is a much better, I mean, no travel ban is good, but compared to the last travel ban in Trump 1.0, this is so much better because it's not as broad, right? The other one was just a complete ban on everyone and everybody. So like I said, they took their time to craft this, hoping to withstand challenges in court. So if you have an existing valid visa issued before June 9, 2025, you will be fine, all right? If you're a child being adopted by U.S. citizens from these countries, you're also going to be fine. You're exempt from this ban. And they also exempt visas for ethnic and religious minorities facing persecution in Iran, and people who have special immigrant visas for U.S. government employees. So there are some people who will be fine and some that will not. So there are also national interest waivers where you want to make a case for yourself why you should be allowed into the United States, notwithstanding the ban. So, so what does this mean? What is the impact? So for the partial bans and the complete bans, family student visas are restricted as of June 9. And in the complete ban, subject to the exceptions, that will stop to June 9th. Work visas are available with some of the partially restricted ban. What else? Now, with regards to the people like immediate relatives, let's talk about that a little. Immediate relatives will not be subject to the ban, and immediate relatives are children under the age of 21 of U.S. citizens, parents of U.S. citizens who are 21 and over, spouses of U.S. citizens. But they're making it clear that you're going to prove by clear and convincing evidence that your relationship. So if it's a relationship of, parental relationship, or you want to show that the child is yours, then they're going to be looking at things like DNAs. Now, if in the spousal realm, if you're a U.S. citizen filing for your spouse, they're going to really turn it up with regards to you showing that it is a bona fide relationship. Okay. So let's see. So what does this mean? Green card holders trying to sponsor your spouse, trying to sponsor your children, either under 21 or over 21, you're not going to be able to do that if you're in any of these ban categories. So LPRs, legal permanent residents, are not exempted from this ban, so you will not be able to file for your family members. But the truth of the matter is, on the visa bulletin, that category is run a little slow. So it's in your best interest, of course, to become a U.S. citizen so that you can file for your family members. So what are we going to expect is that there's going to be stricter adjudication of all visas and waivers. And that's really it. And there'll be litigation. We talked about that before. So let's see. I think that's pretty much, in a nutshell, that's what this ban is about. So let's see if I can take some questions. And I actually had something else planned to talk about. I wanted to talk about a case I worked on, and then this travel ban came, so I had to read it up so I could talk to you about it. So let's see if I can answer some questions. And if we have some time, I'll go back to talk about the topic I wanted to talk about, and if not, next week. All right, guys, let's see. From YouTube, Emmy says, hi, attorney. My question is, when you apply for work permit and travel documents, does it come together or separately? For your information, my work permit was approved. How long does it take to get it? So, Emmy, great question. So, your work permit can come together and it can come separately too. So, there was a time that, first of all, you have to, if you are applying under, say, a family-based where you have to pay for each, for the work permit and travel document, you have to pay for it, because unlike before, like last year where it had no separate fees, now a work permit has a separate fee, a travel document has a separate fee unless you're, it's a renewal. So if you want to have both a work permit and a travel permit, you want to make sure you file the Form I-765, which is the work permit, and the Form I-131, which is a travel permit, and you have to pay their fees unless you're working with, unless your pathway is something like a humanitarian pathway like VAWA, SJIS, T visas that don't have any filing fees. So they can come together or they can come separately. There was a time when, it was taking so long for the travel permits to come. It was taking about 9 months, 10 months. So the administration at that point decided, this was like last year, decided to basically fast forward the work permits just so that people could get their work permits and be able to work. And so what happened was you got the work permit, but it didn't have, the work permit is it's a card, but it only had a work permit. It didn't have a travel permit. And then the travel permit would come separately, will come as a form, as a letter, like a letter that would give you permission to travel. So Emmy, if you filed it through VAWA, as long as you filed the forms, right, you should get it. And typically for us, we put a C9P to show that we want both the travel permits and the work permit to come together in that in the one document. But it can come separately. Like I said, if it comes separately, it's typically because they're trying to move the work permit faster. But in most of our cases, we see them coming together. And if it's been approved, then it really when we get the approval notice, it really doesn't take more than a week for the card itself to come. Okay. I hope that answered your question, Emmy. Okay, so Jack from TikTok says, your VAWA was approved and the court case was recalendared in October. So what options do you have? So Jack, well, first of all, congratulations on having an approved VAWA. And your case was recalendared, which means that you're going to have to go into immigration court and typically maybe try to file a motion before the judge, because prosecutorial discretion, which was a way to get those court cases terminated without having to go to court, that's not really working out anymore since this administration came in. So for your court case, you first of all, you need a lawyer, and you want to file a motion to see if they will terminate, the court will terminate the case based on an approved VAWA. But if it doesn't, and you have to go to court, you can definitely put your case before the judge, and the judge will make a decision regarding terminating it because you have a VAWA approved. Okay, so but the important thing is you need to talk to a knowledgeable attorney. If you need assistance, call us 973 993 1900. So Emmy says it's now 2 weeks since I got the approval letter. Well, Emmy, well, give them a call, because typically we get our work authorizations within a week, but 2 weeks, I think maybe give it maybe give it another week, because maybe USPS is slow. I don't know. But if your letter has been approved, you should be able to get it. And if you don't, you really want to call them, because now I think about it, we had a client that we got the approved letter, but for some reason, USCIS just, I don't know what happened to the card itself, and we had to follow up very intentionally, and finally we got it. So, okay, so do that. Yeah. So Jack, you do have options. I want you to know that, but you're going to need to get an immigration lawyer to go with you to court, or hire an immigration lawyer right now and see what they can do for you based on your case. Okay, because I don't know why you were put in removal. We want to make sure that the VAWA approval can get you out, and it can, but it really depends on your case. So talk to an attorney. So Miriam says, what's the N400 timeline after the interview? Well, Miriam, the law says that after your N400 interview, the USCIS is supposed to give you a response within 120 days. And if they don't give you a response within 120 days, you can write a letter to them telling them, like we call it a pre-suit letter, which is, well, it's 120 days. You're supposed to give me, feedback on my case. And, I can file a law, a court action to get, to get that information. But a lot of times when you have an N400 and you've gotten no response, there might be something else that they're looking at. So I think you'll benefit from talking to an attorney. If you need our assistance, give us a call, 973-993-1900. Typically in a case like yours, we would want to get a FOIA to take a look at what USCIS is seeing, what it is that might be holding up your case. But the truth of the matter is sometimes they're just tardy. They don't get to it on time. So a letter sent on day 121 typically will give them, will move things along, okay? Kobe Wayne says that the church work grants you green card. Yes, it does. They would file an Form I-360. The church can apply for a green card for you, Kobe, okay? So good luck finding a church that can do that for you, because they definitely have the power to do that. So let's go to, I don't know why I'm not getting anything on Instagram. I feel like Instagram is kind of, Instagram family, I'm not seeing questions, so I don't know what that's about. All right, I'll continue asking questions. So if you're on Instagram and you have a question, move over to Facebook or move over to YouTube or move over to TikTok, because for some reason I'm not able to access your, okay, you're listening. Okay, I guess you guys have no questions. That's what it is. So let me continue answering questions on the other platforms, okay? DJ Love says, can a U.S. citizen travel to Haiti? Of course you can. A U.S. citizen can travel anywhere the U.S. citizen wants to with the proper travel documents. All right. So CC Yankee says, what's new with green card and travel? CC, nothing is new. Same thing. We've told people with green card holders to just be cautious, because I know that, lawyers out there saying you don't have anything to fear. I actually don't agree. I think as a green card holder, you want to know that even though they will let you in, you're not going to be one of those people that will be sent back unless you have a conditional green card, and that green card was, the 2-year green card, and it was terminated, then they won't let you in. However, if you have a 10-year green card, they have to let you in, as long as you don't file the Form I-407. However, CBP has a right to go through your things, your phone, your bags, your computer, and if they see anything that could make you inadmissible, they will put you in immigration proceedings, of course. So what it is that you come back, you're allowed to come into the United States, but now you're in immigration court fighting to keep your green card. So I would say that if you want to travel, you want to make sure that you want to make sure that you travel with the best travel, best practices. You shouldn't have anything on your phone that would get you in trouble. You shouldn't be traveling with somebody who is not your spouse. If you got your green card through marriage, you shouldn't be traveling with your side chick or your side dude. That's a problem. Yes, it is. So, so basically, just be on your best behavior if you're going to travel, and make sure you have no criminal. You don't have a criminal record. You don't have an arrest record. You don't have any drug charges, regardless of if it's just marijuana. You just don't want any of that, because with immigration, with federal law, even though state law has has approved marijuana as, is no longer something, has legalized it in federal law, it's still a crime. So you want to know that. So if you're traveling as a green card holder, I just want to say, travel, good luck, but be safe, okay? So Esther says, I overstayed and then I got my green card. I can now file for citizenship. Should I be scared? Esther, filing for citizenship is not a reason to be scared. I think when you file for citizenship, you want to make sure that you qualify to file. And I'm not talking about the fact that you have been here for 5 years, you have your green card. It's, did you get your green card properly? So if there was any issues, for instance, you got your green card through marriage and USCIS didn't question the divorce decree then, they can still question it when you come for naturalization. And that's how a lot of people get themselves in trouble. So you want to make sure that you don't have any issues with regards to any of your legal documents, any of the submissions you put before immigration. If you, and I'll give you another way that, another problem when you file, because this happened to somebody that I represented. She got a green card through her father and she came into the United States. She wasn't my client then. She came into the United States. Her father had filed for her as a single unmarried child over the age of 21, which I think was F1, under the F1 category. But after she had her interview where she got her green card, no, not after, that was before she had her interview when she finally got her green card, she got married. So she was no longer single. So she came into the United States under a different classification and nobody knew, nobody caught that because she got her green card when she came in. But she went to file for citizenship and she told them she had gotten married before she was admitted into the United States, and that was a problem. So she hired us at that point and we pled for her and we put in a good case, and she wasn't put in removal proceedings, which was good, but basically she got her green card wrongfully, right? And there are options as to how to do it properly, but those options were not available to her. So she's going to be a green card holder really practically forever unless something else comes up for her. So if you are going to file for naturalization, you really want to talk to a lawyer and get properly screened, so that if there are any issues, you'll be advised, and you might then decide to not apply for naturalization, or maybe you wait, because sometimes another reason why people get in trouble when they're filing for naturalization is they get married to a US citizen, the marriage doesn't work out, and they're not living together anymore, but they still go and file under the 3-year rule. All right, so you're going to be denied for that. If you have any, charges, criminal charges, you really want to be careful. You should not be filing for naturalization without talking to a lawyer. So bottom line is, if you're going to file for naturalization, you should talk to a lawyer and get properly screened, okay? So Oluwatosin says, how to treat a green card holder who has stayed outside for more than 1 year due to serious illness. So Oluwatosin, I would say the person should try and come back to the United States as soon as possible with documentation of why they were outside the United States for that long. They will let them in, like I said. So the option is they'll let them in without a problem, or they'll let them in and put them in removal. But regardless, if it's a 10-year green card, they'll let you in. And really, the thing to do is to just start heading back as soon as you can, so that you can explain what happened. Oh, it's still very sick. Yeah. Okay. So, well, I think the thing to do is, maybe it might be a good idea to talk to a lawyer so we know exactly what the nature of the sickness is, and we can properly advise you based on what's going on in that case, because I am giving general advice. I'm not giving particular advice. So you really want to talk to somebody. Let's see if we can give you advice tailored to what your own issue is. Hi, Cadian. How are you, beautiful? All right. So let's see. So Princess Brenda says, what happens if bigamy is established for the first time marriage to a U.S. citizen, though remarriage occurs? I'm not understanding this question, Brenda. Who was the bigamous person? Was it the U.S. citizen or was it the non-citizen? So right off the back, I'll tell you, if it was the US citizen, there's hope. If depending on the case type. If it's a VAWA case, yes, there's a bigamy exception for VAWA. If it's not a VAWA case and the person's filing for you under a marriage-based case, they have to get divorced and you have to remarry them. But like I say, I don't know your situation. I don't know your case. So if you want us to assist you, you have to give us a call, 973-993-1900, so that we understand exactly what's going on in your case and we can give you advice directed to assist you, okay? Let's see. So Dama Lolly says, can kindly assist with various ways to which an F1 visa individual on OPT can get a PR. So your F1, you're looking to, I guess, what's a PR? Permanent residence. Well, there are many ways to do that, you know. OPT, and you're doing your OPT, maybe your employer can file for you. And if they're going to file for you, you want them to file as soon as possible because, you know, there are delays. If you finish your OPT and you don't have a job, please get back in school so you don't get out of status. You can, if depending on what you studied, you can file for national interest waiver. If you have an employer that can even file a work authorization for UH-1B, you can get into the visa lottery next year, March. Or if you're working for an institution of higher learning, they don't have any, they're cap exempt, they can file a H-1B for you at any time. So there are many options, but it's not easy for F1 visa holders to get a green card. And of course, if you meet the love of your life and the person is a US citizen or even a green card holder, because you're in legal status, that won't be a problem. They can help you. So if you need additional information, please feel free to call us. Let's talk to you. 973-993-1900. Then St. Malachi says, hello, I filed mandamus because it's over 1 year and a few weeks. I went for my I-130 and I-485 interview. What should I expect from USCIS? Well, you filed a mandamus and then you went for your interview because I guess the mandamus worked. They scheduled you for an interview. What should you expect? They're going to review your case just like they will review any other person's case. Hopefully you put in a good submission. Hopefully you and your spouse, or I don't know if it's a child or parent. I don't know the familiar relationship. Hopefully you guys, met your burden of proof, and hopefully you'll be approved. I can't tell you what to expect except that they're going to do their job. All right. Good. Evelyn, hello, how are you? So Nana Bragg says, how long does Form I-485 take to be approved? It really depends. In marriage cases, it's typically taking about a year. If your child is filing for you and you're the mother, it takes less. You're the father, it takes less. But really, it's just, nobody can really tell you for a fact how long it's going to take because we have a new administration and we're expecting backlogs. So if you have an application to file, there's a good time to file it. But on an average, we haven't seen any drastic changes in marriage-based cases because the administration just started in January. So we can't really tell if it's a problem. But our naturalization cases are moving as normal. We're getting interviews typically within a couple of months. And so that's it. So yeah, but if you want to figure out how long it's taking, if you go to the website, USCIS has a case processing website that'll tell you how long these cases are taking, okay? All right. So Gabriela Thomas says you're granted a withholding. Is there something to do with it? So withholding is not a pathway to getting a green card, but basically the removal is withheld. They're not going to remove you because they don't think it's safe for you to go back to your country. So you get a work permit, and really that's it. You cannot travel outside the United States. But even if you have a withholding and something, you become eligible in some way, we have to go back to court, reopen, terminate, maybe get you back into another pathway, but it really all depends. But yeah, that's what withholding gives you. Okay. So Evelyn says, my mom is 82 years old in Ghana. Can you bring her for a vacation? Well, the good news, Evelyn, is that she's not on the travel ban. Ghana is not on the travel ban list. And so you can you can give her an invitation. She goes, fills out the DS 160. But of course, with a B1, B2, there's no guarantee that they're going to give it to her. She has to, prove that, she's not going to come and not go back. She has to prove ties to her country. And sometimes, even when you prove ties to your country, they just won't give it to you because, I don't know, sometimes the officer doesn't want to. So, but, why don't you try? Invite your mom and, basically just your mom just needs to show that she doesn't intend to stay in the United States. All right. She intends to go back. So show that she has family, she has property, she has whatever, other kids. Okay. All right, so this is a good question. Queen82 says, can I file for my spouse who's in Haiti during the travel ban? Yes, you're exempted. Even the travel ban, immediate relatives can file for their spouses. So U.S. citizens can file for their immediate relatives in the travel ban countries. So if you're in Haiti, and your spouse, you're a U.S. citizen, your spouse is in Haiti, you can file for them because they're exempted from the travel ban. So that's good news. I hope that makes you happy. All right. So Winnie says, as a green card holder, how long can I apply for citizenship? So Winnie, it depends on what platform you got your green card. So if you got your green card through VAWA, 3 years, you can apply for citizenship. If you got your green card through marriage and you're still married to the love of your life, 3 years. If you're divorced, 5 years. If you got your green card through a family member, your parent, your siblings, you have to wait 5 years. If you got your green card through an employer, you have to wait for 5 years. Okay. All right. Evelyn says, what's my number? 973-993-1900. Okay. So Keith says, my spouse lives out of the country currently. I'm still learning by listening to you that I will need to file from I-130 and I-130A, okay, because you're filing for a spouse. What are the requirements? Okay, she still wants to live in her country for the time being until her son finishes college. Does she have to be in the United States for 6 months or more prior to going back to her country? Okay, Keith, that's a really great question. So let me answer it. So if your spouse lives outside the country and wants to stay there for a little while until her son finishes college, well, you can get started right now unless the child is really young, because the average time for consular processing case is 2 years, depending on where your spouse is from. So in some countries, it could be more because there's a long line for the interview. So you have to file the form I-130, I-130A. That's for starters. Then there's the National Visa Center process where you have to, complete certain documents, upload them, and then when your spouse is documentarily qualified, then your spouse has to wait to be called for an interview. And we anticipate that interview is going to take quite a while now, because this administration is basically letting go of people that work in the embassies. So that just means backlog. And once your wife gets her green card, she can come into the United States and leave the next day. She doesn't have to stay here in the United States after she's been admitted into the United States. But remember, she cannot stay outside the United States for longer than 6 months, okay? But when she gets her green card, she can come in and she can go right out again, but she cannot stay outside the United States for more than 6 months. Otherwise, her green card is in jeopardy. And if you need us to assist you with this process, give us a call, 973-993-1900. We'll be happy to assist you. Okay, so Altohemi says, my spouse visa interviews on June 10th, a day after the ban starts. Will that affect her interview? Well, Altohemi, are you a U.S. citizen? If you are, no, it doesn't affect it because U.S. citizens filing for their spouses are exempt. All right. So Felix Station says, after denial of admissibility waiver, how long do I have to wait to reapply for I-130? So So you filed a waiver, which maybe is a 601 waiver, I guess, and it was denied. You can reapply, and if your waiver was denied, you're still gonna encounter the same problems. So I would suggest you talk to an attorney so that you can file a stronger waiver. You know, come correct with your evidence so that your waiver can be approved, because it's not, if your waiver is not approved, you're not admissible, and the problem is still there. All right. Okay, guys. What time is it? All right, 6:40. I'm kind of tired now, so I will go, and next time I will be able to discuss the topic I had prior to this travel ban. But I hope this was helpful to somebody, and if you know anybody from one of the travel ban countries, please send this video to them so they know that all is not lost. Immediate relatives are not impacted. Dual nationals are not impacted. So it's this travel ban, as bad as it is, it was worse the first time around. So yeah. Okay, take care, guys. Have a great evening.